4:30, yeah, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Good.
Doug's story.
Howie, Bill's there,
The town of Mountain Story.
Story's here. Only one missing, I think, Donna.
And Donna said is excused,
He's excused.
and I heard nothing from Doug.
Okay. All right, so. As you know, we didn't have a meeting last month because of the blizzards. Everyone thought that was a good idea, didn't you, John?
Yeah, it worked for me. I probably travel further than any of you to.
So, the idea is to approve the minutes of, February 14th. Any comments?
So move.
Motion to approve the minutes. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Carried. New business. Roy, you called me, but I'm gonna go through this, a couple of other things on the agenda here. Item number one is a marina generator for the slips. Did you ask for that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, John.
Well, I had a request from Rick Moore's, that somebody had complained that during a power outage that we had in December, they had issues because, their boats got cold and they couldn't start them. So I was asked to look into what it would take and what were the ramifications of having a generator that would kick in and power the marina if the power went out. And it is mind staggering, the size and cost of what it would take to run the marina to supply power if the power goes out. You're talking about two marinas the size of a full-size shipping container that are in the neighborhood of $250,000 to $300,000 a piece. And with everything else, you're looking at $500,000 to $750,000 to get them in place. I cannot find a marina anywhere that offers generator power when their power from the
Nobody's taking that.
service goes down.
Oh, Chris, sorry.
So it would be my recommendation that we continue with what we got. The summer boats in the summer, most of them have a generator that will kick on if their power goes down. A lot of the fishermen have, expensive engines that need to be warm, have some sort of generator on board to fire up, to warm their engine up so it could be started if need be. I think it's a absurd amount of cost. And the other point is, where would we even think about putting them?
And the noise.
And the noise and the expense from keeping them on standby, from what I understand, takes a huge amount of electricity. They both would have about a 7 to 1,000 gallon tank that would run those generators for 8 hours at full capacity and about 12 to 14 at 75% capacity. So just the unbelievable cost for something that happens 4 to 5 times a year. Generally, we never lose power for more than an hour or two. It's never been an issue before, and I just think it would be, just a massive cost.
I don't think this requires a vote, but if the harbor committee would like to express their sentiments. I agree.
Who brought that up? One of the fishermen,
Ronnie said something to me a while ago about it.
somebody got Rick Moore's ear, and Rick Moore's brought it up at a selectmen's meeting, and I was there, but I was having to do a Zoom update and I missed the question. So I didn't get to respond, but I told Rick that I'd put it on our agenda and we would discuss it and.
Well, in that case, I'm gonna have a formal vote then.
I think for that kind of money, you could hire somebody to come down and blow hot air on the boat.
Yeah, you know, and I also looked,
Generator.
You can buy a Honda generator.
But during the last real cold outage, I went down, a number of us went down, called people, started the boats we could. I mean, that was a freak incident of super cold weather. And when we got hold of our boats we could start, we started and ran. I mean, there's a community around, you know what I mean, that looks after that. And that's something that as a boat owner, you have to be knowledgeable. And, you know, as part of it, you can go down and fire your boat up. You don't have, you know what I mean? And if you're out of town, you need to designate someone to look after your vessel.
it's no different than the power going out at your house. You know, Versant is not gonna have a standby generator to provide you power. If you can keep your house from freezing up, you're on your own to look after your.
In most outages, the water temp's gonna keep the hull warm enough. It's just that we had one freak incident that hit everyone, the back, I mean. So I don't think it's, you know, prudent for one freak incident in 50 years.
I even looked into getting like 2 portable generators and the chance that a surge would come out of one of them if you let someone use it, we'd be liable if it fried their electronics on the boat. So, you know, even that level is not recommended.
I make a
Motion to deny the request
Right?
Yep.
and seconded.
Second.
We had a discussion, all in favor of the motion as presented. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Okay,
No generator.
no generator.
They can get their own.
How about the reservation update, John?
Reservations are more than we have ever seen. I am already at the point here at the beginning of April where we are completely full, other than a couple of spots here and there. But, you know, I'm turning people away already for anything from mid-June to mid-September. It's just unbelievable. I'm working on seasonal mooring rentals. I've got probably 3 times more requests than I have moorings available to give out. It's gonna be a banner year and just, it's unbelievable. For 50 to 100 moorings, I mean, requests above where we normally would be right now.
Okay,
So
thank you. Marina Internet,
this was another request by Rick Morris from a complaint from somebody. That our marina internet is not sufficient. In the summer. You know, people that are over on the other side of the harbor, I think it's from the same person that complained about the generator. You know, he likes to be able to do an update on his equipment across the way on the mooring slip that he rents and. When the harbor's full of, you know, boats using the internet, we've doubled our supply of megs per second that we put out. But when you got 100 people using 500 megs per second, it gets drained down pretty hard. And someone trying to do an update on a computer across the way, it's just not going to happen.
Is the complaint speed or
Well,
connectivity?
I think it's both, because when they get drained down, there's, you know, it's only so much bandwidth and.
Are we at the limit of your, you know, for the FCC that what you could transmit? Are you at the max?
We actually, the antennas are due to be upgraded this year, so it may help a little bit. But, and that's just something we do every few years. Bob Bickmore, the guy from Haley Ward. I mean, I put him in our boat after we've hooked him up and we go all around the harbor and he connects with his laptop and gets good signal. But when you got 100+ people hooking into it and you got, you know, 100-foot yachts at the end of the pier blocking signals, you know, we've done the best we can and we keep upgrading it every few years. But I think we're at the limitation of what we can offer.
Is this for somebody that's on a ring or something?
Yeah. You know, you got 30 people out there watching Netflix and, you know, you got someone across there that's trying to update their, you know, GPS on their boat and it, you know, it's just not doing it because it's It's burdened with so much usage.
Is it standard when you go into a harbor and rent a mooring that you should be able to get Wi-Fi?
We've been giving away free Wi-Fi for 10+ years. And it's not a huge expense to us. It's pretty much a common thing with marinas that, you know, they offer.
But that's
free
if you're
Wi-Fi.
in a slip, probably.
Yeah, no, it's, you know, some people offer it to their mooring fields. Doesn't cost us any more to give it to the slips than it does to broadcast it out to the moorings.
Yeah.
We also have extra antennas inside of our yachtsman's building. Also inside my office, someone can come in and sit in a chair and
Yeah.
hook up with their iPad or whatever. And, you know, we try to accommodate people. And we even give up our lunchroom and let them shut the door if they have to do a meeting and they're not getting good connectivity. We do our best
Yeah.
to, you know, accommodate, but we keep updating it and we're trying to keep ahead of it, but like any other technology, buy something new in 3 days, it's, you know,
Yeah.
something's better is out, so.
Oh, we're not ready to apologize for our services.
No, we're doing the best we can and, you know, we're on it and. You know, when Rick called, I was like, geez, Rick, we're already due for upgraded antennas and we keep ahead of it, but.
Maybe we could put an antenna on Story's porch down on the dock.
Thank you, Stuart.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
Sure,
Well, it's
With your
not on
camera.
the agenda,
What?
but I,
camera.
with my camera. Have you seen my webcam?
I haven't seen
I
it.
have a webcam on my roof of the harbor,
We look at it,
is
look at
that,
your
is that for
camera.
the
Thunder Land.
TV news? The weather?
Sorry, what? Yeah,
We look at
that's at
your
my house.
camera all the time.
Good.
I think I should zoom it in,
Maybe a little.
yeah.
Okay, it's not on the agenda, but I'm very curious, the progress on our improvements to
So,
Good.
Marina Rant.
So
I'm so proud of the work that's been done today.
Yeah.
Doing it.
I just
So-
happened to look at that timeline the other day.
the granite stone cutters have been the ones holding this whole mess up. And everything is supposedly cut and all stone for both the public and the north dock will be delivered on the 21st. The latest schedule of the timeline is still intact. We should have a ramp on the public dock within a week after the 21st, so whatever that date is.
28,
Before the 1st of May, we should have the ramp on the public dock and the public dock will be open for service. It will still be dirt. Because the hot top plant doesn't open until sometime in mid-May. And they are saying that they can have the north one done by the. I think it's the 23rd of May.
Hope they did the 15th. The contract.
Hmm?
Did they, wasn't it to the 15th in the contract?
I think so, but we're, they're gonna be about a week past that from what I can understand.
is there a penalty?
There are no penalties. They do have a performance bond. We would potentially have the right to pull the north dock out from underneath them, but we're never gonna get someone in there to do it. And, you know, if they can get it finished.
a week's
You know,
not
be
that
added-
bad,
No,
really,
Not in today's economy.
no.
in the big picture.
So we're gonna see how they do finish in the public before we give them the green light to start digging on the north one. That will be when we make our final decision on whether we let them do it in the spring or we maybe try to push it back till October.
The irony of it is, you know, that this is quite an example of a pretty small job that needs to be done down there, and we have a less than 10-year lifespan on the main pier.
We're down to,
And the north
we're
was
down
the
to
worst.
6 or 7.
That should have been done first.
Yeah, right.
We could have got away with the other end.
And I don't know. I'm about to permitting from state and federal about replacing that pier, but whatever it is, we ought to be getting on it.
Yep, my plan is, once we get this finished, we've got to start talking about getting ready for designs and what we're gonna do. I've been told it's gonna take us at least 2 years of planning and working to get everything, get a design, agree on it before we would be ready to potentially bid something like that out.
Right.
So if we start talking about it next winter, 2.5 years from then, we'd be looking to get approval at a town meeting to bond out money to.
We've had an initial engineering report,
Yep,
and why do we have to wait until next winter to start?
because we're still paying the bond for what we have down there. That comes to close, I think, in early 2030 something.
Long on what, John?
The marina every year, that was a 20-year bond. We're still paying $100 and something thousand a year
Oh,
for the bond.
on the buildings and stuff.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
and
but this,
yes, but we're
this
gonna,
could be a separate issue than that.
yes, but it would be, we're looking at $1.5 million to $2 million would be the guesstimate. So you're looking at another bond payment that would be, $200,000 to $250,000 a year, and whether we could accommodate both of them at the same time.
Well, you just said that we got 20 years to go on this one.
We did have.
We started with.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that we can postpone this one until this bond is paid off.
No, but we still have up to close to 7 years before the timeline on that one to be done. If we get it set up that within, the last year of that thing's inspected lifespan, we will be within a year or 2 or 3 or so away from the other bond being done, and we probably easily manage with our undesignated fund balance, carry both bonds for a few years and not have to worry about it.
I understand all that. I'm just saying it's,
Yeah, but no, we're well within our timeline. They gave us 9 to 10 years, and we're down 2.5, almost 3 of those years now. So as soon as we finish this, if we start thinking about it and talking about it and planning, we've really got 6 years to get everything lined up to have everything bid and have a time frame of having it done.
okay.
It will really honestly be, one of the last major things that I get done before I retire.
Oh, yeah.
So
Well,
leave Adam and Jenny with a nice shiny new pier to take care of.
I'm the only one here that can remember the old.
Just
layout.
you.
The whole layout.
Huh?
Remember driving your horse and buggy down there?
Remember
Bring the
riding
ice
my
down.
bicycle down the hill here and jumping off it, and letting it go out in the mud. Okay,
This is Howie. I'd like
Oh.
to ask something about, tangentially about, the status of the piers and all that, if that's okay.
go for it.
All right, thanks. So I just drove by Seal Harbor the other day, and it's all torn apart.
Yeah.
Is that did someone back into the building, or, I mean, the wall?
The storm just after Christmas did that.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Same one that tore down the Millikins Pier and everything. That's already been approved for repair. The selectmen have approved us to spend money out of our CIP. We're just waiting on Ellie Norwood's timeframe to get it done.
Awesome.
They're not only gonna do the repair, they're gonna, what is it called, pin and point, or they're gonna repair the rest of the wall
Oh, yeah.
to keep that section from having more damage.
Do you think they'll get it done before, Memorial Day or whatever.
That would be a stretch from what I've been told.
Oh,
But-
boy.
Yeah,
All right. It's, yeah,
All right. Shall we move on to general issue? If that's the case, we have Mr. Adlock here. Roy? You got a presentation you'd like to make?
I just wanted to explain, my father died in 26, and he had more in Seal Harbor. I'm not sure how long he's had it, many years. And I've been told I had to give it up. It wasn't transferred or could not be transferred. The state laws or ordinance said it can be transferred. They didn't say anything about previously being commercial fishing. And that's the only possible way it can be transferred. Now, Northeast Harbor ordinance says it has to be commercial fishing to be transferred to another commercial fisherman. It didn't specify, how long ago my father hasn't fished in, I don't even know when it was, but 92 maybe. And so I'm just coming to the harbor committee to see if that ruling can be overturned and allowed to keep the mooring.
We have a specific ordinance related to the transfer of it.
we refer to the state's
Yeah,
title in subsection 3-.
but it's been adopted. It's not just Northeast Harbor, it's for the town of Mount Desert.
Right.
So, John, you perhaps ought to.
Yeah, I'm assuming you've read it. I've done a little research and, I called the Maine Marine Patrol and had them do some research to find out when your dad, Dale, last held a commercial fishing license. And their records right now only go back to 1992 and they had nothing on their records. So it's been at least prior to 1992, the last time he held a commercial fishing license. And
Does the ordinance state anything about
the ordinance doesn't, but
You have to be
it
able-
does say that a mooring assignment used for commercial fishing purposes. So, I mean, it's obvious if you didn't have a license that your dad, it's been over 30 years since he's used that mooring for commercial fishing. If he had his commercial license when he passed away, it would transfer, no problem to you.
Yeah.
If he had his license and 2 years ago had come to me and said, John, I want to transfer my mooring to Roy. I would have said, Roy, bring me in a copy of your license. Dale, write me a simple one-liner that you want to transfer it to your son. It would have been a done deal.
Yeah.
But I have to treat this the same way I would treat anybody else. And I just think that 30+ years is outside the ballpark of where I would,
We've been using it, my son has had his boats on it. He's got commercial.
I understand that, and
Last 3 years.
it just,
Does he hold a federal license at all, or did his vessel before his death hold a federal permit of any nature?
Yes, he did, yeah, and I lost her,
Commercial on the vessel?
yeah.
Current?
Not on that vessel,
No.
no.
did he hold a federal permit that was still in his name?
His
No,
father
he
had
didn't
one.
hold it. He didn't hold one,
He did.
he gave it out when he some lost her. Wish he'd held on to it.
John, I'm gonna open a can of worms here, but when David Rockefeller Senior died, those moorings were in his name and got transferred into an
They
LLC.
were not. Doug Hopkins came to me and Sean back a year or two after I started, so we're going back about 15 years, and put all of a bunch of people on, a bunch of Seal Harbor LLC on the waiting list. And he waited for each one of those to work their way up to become number one. And when that Seal Harbor LLC became number one on the wait list, David Senior would say, I'm giving up that mooring, and they transferred. Some of them happened, yes, there was several that happened on the same day because Doug came in and he was number 1, 2, and 3. He may have started as number 6, 7, and 8, but they waited for years for them to get through the scenario. And once they became number 1 on the wait list, David would say, I'm giving up that mooring. And lo and behold, Seal Harbor Properties was the next on the waiting list. So that's how they all transferred.
So what's the waiting list right now in Sioux Harbor
For what?
for the mooring that they have?
Oh,
36.
if it's it would take 20+ years.
There's other commercial fishermen ahead of them.
I would have to look at the list, but there's other people. on
Or
the list.
mooring, yeah, but like, so they've changed mooring series or commercial fish. So that, I mean, that would predicate ahead of the line.
There is, yes, a non-resident commercial fish is, not tops on the list, but they're down there. But I would have to see exactly where it would fit in, but it is still a long way.
But I thought if a family member could transfer to another family member.
No,
I think the only way to
Yeah,
do
you
it
can,
is,
you can.
only
remote
if you're a
take
commercial
off.
fisherman.
When you're alive as a commercial fisherman, or he could have,
I'm not even talking about commercial fishermen. I thought of,
but I think that's the only way in a closed harbor, the only way to transfer a mooring
it's
is
two commercial fish
commercial, immediate relative, commercial to commercial.
or adopted. He read
I didn't realize Seal Harbor was closed because we never.
Every harbor we have has a full wait list for each series of moorings. The only other way that we transfer mooring is if, say, I passed away and I had a boat and my wife was still alive and she wanted to keep that boat and keep using it. It will transfer to the wife. She can use it until she dies, but when she dies, it does not pass down to the kids.
Except for
How
when
did
Beal
it-
Bunker sold the barge, we transferred the moorings to
You
good.
talking
That's-
commercial or where's that residential?
That's just the way we've always done it.
Yeah, but it's not in the ordinance that way.
How did the Madeiras do it out there? The Connie Madeira's sailboat went to their grandkids.
I don't know how that one happened, because it wasn't me that did it, so. But, I treat everybody the
No,
same, because I have to have, in my opinion, I gotta have the straight face and be able to look at someone and say, I'm not doing nothing for you that I've done for somebody else.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
I thought if it was a family. A member of the family died,
No.
that somebody in that family could take the mooring.
No, not unless when they originally got the mooring that, Joe put, Joe Junior on there as a mooring owner, joint mooring owner.
Yeah.
If that's the only way it would, and Joe would disappear off it and it would be just Joe Junior.
Joe John.
But,
Excuse me. What license do you need to hold for commercial? Clamming or lobstering or?
well, in my opinion, someone doesn't need a mooring to go clamming.
Yeah, it's any commercial
go-
license. Yeah, they do. They use a skiff to go. It's any
Yeah.
commercial fishing license.
I mean, it's how wide a berth do you wanna to put it? I mean, does someone who holds a commercial Elver license qualify and need a mooring?
It's commercial fishing, so I would think you'd have to do.
But it's good, it's usage. It's
Yeah,
historic. I mean, the person's using it, a family's used it.
in my opinion, if someone can prove
This
to me
one's gonna go to
that-
a summer person, correct? Somebody that's here,
I would assume
just another commercial mooring lot.
there's a riparian owner that's number 1 on the list over there, so chances are it's a summer person. Yeah,
So that's
But
just the trick.
if someone had
That's
a
gonna have to
commercial
be-
license and,
Yeah, that's basically. what
they
they're
could
at.
prove to me that they needed the mooring for that commercial activity. So be it. As long as both sides held the commercial license and it was gonna continue to be used for commercial fishing.
It is gonna be,
Well, I get that, but
I mean, it'll never.
it's the other side of it that,
I'd like to say something just really quick. I just wanted to say, John, I totally appreciate that this has got to be the most stressful part of the whole job because everyone wants a mooring and there's no way in or out of it. And you know, it sounds to me like you're holding a line that seems very reasonable, you know, and it's what is expected by the law as well. So I think, you know, please don't feel as though you have to defend everything that's happening.
I mean, I have this horrible conversation with 3 to 5 people a year, you know, their dad passes away and they never even considered that they wouldn't be able to keep that mooring. And, you know, it's a terrible thing. Someone's had a mooring in their family for 30, 40 years and all of a sudden they learn that they can't have it anymore.
Was this on the ordinance prior to 2017? You know, when this was enacted?
This, commercial fishing transport?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just the state.
No, it's always,
We adopted the state in 2017.
and I think it was on the one prior.
It had to be commercial prior.
It was on the prior ordinance
I think
also.
when we redid the ordinance.
I
which
think-
That's not the one, you know, it's not
Long.
state doesn't specify that. The state's ordinance says, you know, it doesn't have to be commercial, can be transferred to commercial.
It's pretty specific. It's that commercial is the only way it can be transferred.
I don't know when the
Previous-
state voted on that,
Previous.
the 38 MSR 3 and 3A. I don't know when the state adopted that. We adopted it though. I know with the ordinance in 2017.
There's a bunch of dates and there's a 1991, 1993, and those are the only 3-year dates I see on the subsection from the state.
I have a question. That if we, and I wouldn't be retroactive, but can we change our own ordinance so that you can transfer a mooring in your family?
No,
You're a
because
town
I
meeting.
think we can be more stringent than the state, but we can't be less stringent.
And you'd have to, any adoption have to go to town meeting.
I'm just asking a question.
Yeah.
I'm just
We're
saying.
not allowed to be more lenient than the state's rule, and that would be being more lenient than the state's rule. The thing is, reason why they stopped it is because if you could transfer from family member to family member, no one would ever get a mooring off the wait list. It wouldn't happen.
And now, so they adopted for the commercial fish to protect that.
To try to keep
Yeah.
commercial fishing activity
Exactly.
and access.
So commercial fishermen,
This is what bugs me forever, because there's more than one type of commercial activity on the water than fishing.
No,
So-
but this mooring here is probably gonna go to a summer person. So should you have a quota or something that's commercial fishermen? Because in the big picture down 50, 20 years from now, you're gonna lose the fishermen.
It's like, in my
If they're
situation,
not paying attention to the thing like Dale.
Mhm.
I have a commercial activity going on, have been doing it for 50 years. And. But I'm not a commercial fisherman, so my commercial activity is less important than fishing.
But you still
Like,
need,
if you're a if you have a corporation, right? Your corporation survives you, Rick. So if everything you have been doing is incorporated, right? And the licenses. Right,
I am incorporated, yes,
and your moorings are, right?
probably not. I mean, I don't think I've ever registered them down here as an incorporation. And it's always irritated me to think that, you know, and I'm not speaking badly of you guys that like the lobster. But there's more than one way to earn the money on the water. And
yes, no, I agree.
But like Hickory's moorings been protected. Other commercial moorings been protected, even though there's changes, the corporation has changed hands. The commercial, if they're in the name, right, as long as the corporation doesn't change, those moorings are protected.
I'm asking a question. I'm not. ready to
No,
pass it on.
So my question is, did the town have Dale's mooring listed as commercial?
No, it's just under Dale Hadlock.
Is that because we didn't have that rating at the time?
Is there
I
a
mean-
Army Corps permit for his mooring?
No, it's not required because it,
I didn't know if we had it, for commercial fishing,
no. Only if you're gonna rent it.
but still some people did, get permits.
There are some people that have Army Corps permits and other harbors to be able to rent their mooring, yes.
So basically. Anybody that's lived here the whole life. Is screwed out of the mooring, it's basically they're gonna be all the. Some people that can afford to pay these bills every month, every year to stay on the wait list.
And it's $21 a year fee to be on.
Yeah, what it is.
No, I get you, but, you know,
Realize it's not you, but that's.
yeah,
I would go get a clamming license.
Don't
Get
think about-
get your son a clamming license
Get your son to get
and
a
pass it down.
license. There we go,
yep.
that's commercial.
And John, I assume,
And there's the one kicker, though. The mooring has to continue to be used for that, so you can't go buy a license and do it for 1 year and then, never buy another license, honestly. There's so many moorings out there that. We roughly have 800 and something moorings, and we're about to, after town meeting, pull in another 1,000 of the ones that are outside the harbor. It is just a phenomenal amount of stuff to look at, but by rights, if you did that, a year or two down the road, I should be going to see your son and say, geez, you've been clamming lately, can I see your license? And if he said, no, I haven't bought one in 2 years, would I take his mooring at that point?
it doesn't say that in the ordinance.
It says it has to continue
Does it?
to be used.
Yeah.
It says it right in the state ordinance. But, that's just one scenario, but
And the tough thing is, in this situation, the family has been using it and they've been commercial fishing and using it. But the predecessor didn't, he stopped obviously in 92. But in the state law, at any point since 92, he was able to pass that mooring down to them.
it's a sad thing, if
So
20
it's a-
years ago, Dale had thought, geez, I wanna transfer this to Roy. Roy, you could have got onto the wait list, and back then you could have easily, within 5 or 6 years, worked your way through the wait list. And when you became number one on the wait list, your dad could have said, I'm giving my mooring up, Roy's number one. I'm not gonna charge him anything unless Roy pay the fee, register it in your name, and it would have been done.
But nobody knows any of that.
I know, but I constantly, people that are coming in and getting on the wait list now,
If he would have gotten a license last year, called it.
yes.
Same kind of license, it would have been legal.
And he wouldn't have even had to come in and have written a letter or nothing. When he passed away, you could have said, geez, my dad died, he was a commercial fisherman, I'm a commercial fisherman. I would have looked at the ordinance and go, yep, write me a little one-liner and we're done. But
Or in like 92, you added your name or didn't have to be 92, so later.
That last year, I got a older license last year.
Yeah.
It's one of them things you don't think about. And
I know,
well, it's
it,
in
you
your
know,
family for,
you know, it's
years and
not
years and.
anything I like doing, but I feel that I wouldn't do for you what you're asking for anyone else, so,
I think John's in a real predicament. My take on the idea is that the town needs to address this issue. Because I do think there's people on that waiting list that the natives in the town, people live here year round, certainly ought to have a priority. And I just don't like the way this whole thing sounds.
wasn't there a
there are,
list and
there are
resident was?
tiers,
up
there are
above?
tiers.
I know if you own an existing mooring and you want to transfer, you
And
go to the head of the
and
line.
we're helping with the definition resident, we're addressing that bit by bit, and that's something we have been,
Yeah, I mean, when this gets changed in May, I would say 200 to 300 people that have been getting resident status are no longer going to be getting it.
It's
they're all-
183 days now.
Yeah, it's 6 months and 1 day.
Yeah.
You gotta basically be eligible to be a voter of the town of Mount Desert to be considered a resident and get resident status. But those people already have moorings, so it's not like you can take them away from them. But
But if you're on a wait list. Like an upgrade,
mm,
or you go ahead of somebody who's a non-resident?
with upgrades and downgrades, they've already got a mooring. I really don't get into that.
It's just.
If
when you
you're
put it in.
downgrading, in my opinion, it's more profitable, or if it's a better deal. That means they're gonna drop down to a smaller mooring, and somebody that wants a bigger one's gonna get one. If you're upgrading, you're below them. You get your mooring and you gotta give up your smaller one to get it, so it keeps things rolling.
So the only time the
The
resident.
only
thing-
person that jumps ahead of those people is if you are 100-foot landowner within the harbor. On the shore, you get riparian rights, which gives you the option to go to the top of the list. And you get the next mooring that's available, but you're only allowed one. If you got 3 boats, you get on the list like everybody else for them other 2 boats.
The only time the residency thing really helps you is when you're. Going for more, but you don't have one like already, just.
Yes. And,
No, so it goes existing mooring owner renewing, okay, then town owned transient, then a shorefront property owner. Existing mooring owner changing series, resident commercial fish, resident commercial operator. Resident pleasure craft, then non-resident.
and I do the best that I can, but you can imagine what it's like. You got basically, you got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 600 series for each harbor. Some harbors you have fishermen's float. And to try to keep 6 or 7 lists on 4 different harbors with 300 to 400 people on the wait list straight on how everyone fits in, it is, you might as well pound your head on this desk, you're playing with a 500 level chessboard. It's, I do my best, but do some slip through, someone get a mooring before somebody should have? I'm sure it happens, but I do my best to be as fair as I can with everybody that's. I give them money every year to be on the
But
list.
someone left it in their will, but hadn't told for this.
The mooring.
Yeah,
So when someone dies, if there's no other name, it was just them, the family or the estate owns the gear. I'll do my best to help them sell it to the next person on the waiting list. If not, usually one of the barge operators will purchase the stuff from them. Very seldom do I ever say, sorry, they not required to buy your gear, the barge owner doesn't want it. You got 2 options. I can unhook it and let it go to the bottom, or you can pay somebody to take it and you can sell it to somebody else or put it in your front yard. I don't know, but
but I'm saying,
99% of the time, when a mooring is given up, it's cheaper and easier for the person who's on the waiting list to just purchase that gear through a simple bill of sale and have it inspected and they're on their way.
But you're talking about space and the state owns the space.
I'm talking about somebody in their will stated that they're leaving it to their.
They don't have that authority.
No, they don't.
Okay.
No,
I'm looking for a way.
the Army Corps and the state,
Let me know.
it really all falls on me. The Army Corps and the state gives me the authority to permit mooring positions.
Yeah. And how many moorings, a little change of subject to. The Corps have. Will they just come in and give anybody a permit, or they come to you
The
first?
Corps cannot give. Any town that has a harbor master, the harbor master is the end all for moorings.
But they're,
If a town does not have a harbor master, then the Corps can assign moorings.
okay,
That's why you have all these little towns down east that pay Joe Schmo $500 stipend to come in and sign his name 6 times a year and call himself the harbor master. That's, just so they don't lose their authority to the Army Corps.
Well. As frustrating as it may be, it's the
Yeah.
rules, that's the rules. I'm not sure that we can address anything to make it any easier. everyone in this room that has a boat and a mooring is in the same predicament. I mean, I look at my situation and. You know, feel bad for you, boy.
Is what it is.
Well, Roy, I would encourage you to get legal counsel to look at what the state reads in the commercial usage. I don't know it.
State ordinance says.
I know, but I don't know what if it's used before that. I'm just saying, I don't know it 100%, but my interpretation is you need a commercial usage. The person has to be fishing, have a commercial license, federal or state. And at any point, he can request or give it. I mean, he said, Tom, he could have given it to you guys. I think John is operating 100% in the right as it's read, and I do think that without the licenses improving this commercial fish and usage, he's doing the fair and right thing. Do I think it's right what's happened with your family using it commercially and has been using it? Absolutely not.
And I feel the same way, and you know, and if he had held the license up until a few years ago, and he had gotten sick and just it fell off and he didn't do it, I could still have the straight face test and do what needs to be done here. But, you know, it's just too wide of a margin for. And actually, I was gonna get legal opinion, but I didn't have time before this meeting, and if you guys would like, I'll
I think.
have Patrick Lyons look it up. It's gonna cost us a couple $100 to have him
Up to the
to
chair.
look at it, but
I think maybe, John, by our next meeting, we ought to have some kind of, legal advice, because, I'm sensing we're all feeling a sense of frustration, by the state law.
Motion,
Yes,
motion by Savage, seconded by Moore for legal advice on the matter.
Doesn't he have a year to do it though, doesn't he? Does he have to do it right away?
we can hold off on transferring the mooring for as long as it takes.
the irony of it is that I can't tell you how often I hear complaints from people. I've been on that list for 10 years and I'm not getting them more. Hey.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very frustrating situation.
Well,
You know, I
too many
gave
people.
a mooring to a lady in Seal Harbor the other day that she's been 15 years. And she was over the moon. I thought she was gonna come through the phone and hug me. And, you know, she was just so happy and, you know, glad that it finally happened. But, you know, those are the nice calls. But, you know, the conversation like having with Roy, it's horrible. You know, and I feel for it. But I, you know, within the bounds of what I have available, I just,
You don't have any choice, John. I understand.
but I am happy I'll get Eaton and Peabody to give us a legal opinion on
Just need to,
it, and
Yeah, I think we need some guidance.
we need to vote on the motion.
Yes, we do.
yes, we're gonna spend some money.
All in favor of having a legal opinion? Opposed?
A couple more $100 out of the budget we've spent over the last year on what we went through last fall. No big deal.
I was gonna say, I'll donate the money.
I'm happy, they can raise my taxes.
Okay,
25% wasn't enough last year.
sorry, Roy, I guess.
Roy, you're welcome to come back to our May meeting and we'll have some sort of opinion from Eaton and Peabody, the town's lawyer, and
I'll keep in touch.
All
Thank you
right,
very much
well,
for your
thank
time.
you.
Thank you, Roy.
Yeah, thanks.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah. So move.
Second,
Third,
Well,
we got any other issue?
Second it.
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Opposed? Carried.
so John, if somebody,
Hold on, the meeting's over,
well,
so
this is just a question. You can shut it
you
off.
slide your head that way.
Turn off the machine.